Across the endless galaxy, stories moved like wind between stars. They were old stories, told in shadows, shared in whispers, never written in books. Stories about a race that once walked among the stars with fire in their hands and courage in their hearts. They were called humans. But for most aliens of this age, humans were nothing more than a forgotten tale, a bedtime story to scare children or inspire young dreamers. Some believed they never existed at all. Others said they were destroyed long ago, erased from the galaxy's history. To speak about humans was to speak about myths, the same as dragons, or lost gods. But not everyone was convinced. On the far edge of the Krillian Empire, in a lonely outpost near a dying star, one young alien officer sat in front of his console, his eyes fixed on strange patterns across the black void. His name was Arken, a junior signal officer known for asking too many questions. For days he had been studying old transmissions, faint waves that seemed to rise from nothing and vanish before anyone could record them. At first his commanders told him it was static, just random energy from collapsing stars. But Arken saw something else. The signals had rhythm, a pulse, a pattern too sharp to be natural. It reminded him of something he once saw in the forbidden archives of the Academy. A human pattern, Arken whispered to himself. Could it be them? The thought made his skin cold. He remembered the warnings of his teachers. Humans were dangerous. Humans were chaos. Humans were war. That was why they were gone. That was why no one ever spoke of them with respect. But deep inside, Arken felt a strange spark, a mixture of fear and excitement. If these signals were real, then history itself was about to change. For 3 nights he kept watching, his eyes burning as the signals grew stronger. Finally, one night, he caught a glimpse of something impossible. A dark shadow moved across the sensors, huge, heavy, too large to be a normal ship. It appeared for only a moment before fading back into silence. Arken's heart raced. He pressed record, but the file corrupted instantly. It was as if the shadow did not want to be seen. The next morning he brought his findings to the commander of the outpost. "Sir, I believe we are not alone," he said, his voice shaking. The commander, a tall reptilian being named Voro, stared at the report and then laughed. "Not alone? Are you trying to tell me ghost stories, boy?" Arken swallowed his fear and pointed at the repeating waves. "These are not ghosts. These are transmissions. Someone is out there, and the patterns, they match human records." The room fell silent for a moment. Then the commander slammed the report shut. "Do not speak that word again," he hissed. "Humans are gone. They never existed. This is noise, nothing more." But even as Voro spoke, his tail twitched, a sign of unease. Deep down, even he knew something was wrong. That night, Arken returned to the console. The signals were clearer now, rising and falling like a voice calling from the dark. He leaned closer, his breath heavy. Suddenly, the console lights flared. The outpost's long-range sensors picked up movement at the edge of the system. Not one, not two, but many objects moving in perfect formation, shadows of steel gliding silently through the void. Arken froze, his heart hammering in his chest. "They are real," he whispered. "The humans are real." But fear soon followed wonder. If these ships were truly human, why were they silent? Why were they coming now after so many ages? The galaxy had lived without humans for centuries, without their wars, without their fire. Many empires rose and fell in that time, rewriting history to bury the memory of mankind. If humanity was back, then everything would change. Everything. Arken sent another report, this time to the High Council itself. The reply was swift and cold. "Do not spread lies, do not disturb the Empire, keep silent or face punishment." He understood then, the Council was afraid. They did not want the people to know the legend was waking. They would rather blind the galaxy than admit the truth. But the truth was no longer hidden. The shadows were growing larger every day. Warships older than the oldest empire, painted with marks no alien could understand. They moved with a confidence that only came from strength, and every step they took brought them closer to the heart of the galaxy. Arken stood alone at his console, his eyes locked on the endless black horizon. The myth was no longer a myth. The storm was coming, and the galaxy had no idea what waited for them in the dark. The galaxy was not ready. Far beyond the Krillian outpost, whispers of strange movements spread between merchant ships and border patrols. Rumors traveled faster than light, though no one dared to speak them openly. Everywhere, traders claimed to have seen massive dark shapes drifting through forgotten routes, warships too old to belong to any empire, too perfect in formation to be accidents. But the councils of the great powers dismissed the talk as lies. They laughed at the merchants and called them drunk storytellers. Yet in the silence of their private chambers they whispered the same word. Humans. On the outpost, Arken could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the shadows moving across the void. The more he watched the signals, the clearer they became. He noticed a rhythm, a pattern in the movement. It was not random wandering, it was discipline, the kind only found in fleets trained for war. And there were not just a few ships, there were many. Dozens at first, then hundreds. Every day, the numbers grew. One night, the alarm sirens wailed across the outpost. Arken ran to his console, his skin cold. The long-range scans show it's something entering the system, not one vessel, but an entire squadron. Their outlines glowed on the display like iron teeth. The commander, Voro, rushed into the room, his eyes wide. "What is this?" he demanded. The crew trembled as the images sharpened. These ships were unlike anything the Krillian Empire had ever built. They were vast and angular, their hulls black as the void, glowing with faint lines of blue fire. Each ship carried scars of age, yet they moved with power. On their sides were painted strange symbols. One stood out most of all, a circle of blue and white, a memory from forbidden history, the mark of Earth. For a long moment, no one spoke. The room filled only with the sound of breathing and the quiet hum of machines. Finally, Voro whispered, "It cannot be. They are supposed to be gone." Arken's voice was steady, though fear shook his hands. "They are not gone, Commander. They have returned." The alien council received the images within hours. A secret meeting was called. Far from the public's ears, some wanted to deny it, to destroy the evidence. Others shouted in fear, demanding war preparations. The oldest council member spoke in a low voice. "You all know the truth. This is what we feared. The humans have come back, and they come not as wanderers, but as warriors." Meanwhile, the warships did not slow. They entered system after system, scanning planets, observing fleets, yet never firing a single shot. Their silence was more terrifying than any weapon. No signals, no messages, only their dark hulls sliding like shadows across the stars. Some alien patrols tried to approach. One Krillian scout ship dared to fly close, sending open hails. For hours, the scout reported nothing. Then, without warning, the signal cut. When a rescue team arrived, they found nothing. No wreckage, no beacon, no sign the ship had ever existed. The humans left only silhouettes and ents. Fear turned into panic. Civilian transports refused to fly. Trade routes began to collapse. People demanded answers, but the empires gave none. Only rumors filled the void. Rumors of ghosts, rumors of human eyes watching from the dark. In secret, the council sent a message across the galaxy. Every fleet was ordered to be ready. Every empire was told to prepare. But even as they moved their ships, they knew the truth. The humans were already stronger. If they had survived in the shadows for centuries, then their technology must be beyond anything the galaxy had seen. On the outpost, Arken continued his lonely watch. Every day, more ships appeared on his screen. The formation was no longer random. It was a wall, a line of steel spreading across the stars. He whispered to himself, "This is not a return. This is a march." He could almost feel their presence, like ancient giants waking from sleep. The myth was alive, and the galaxy trembled. Then one night, something changed. The warships stopped. For the first time, they broke formation. At the edge of the system, their massive hulls turned together, all pointing toward the heart of the Krillian Empire. Arken felt his blood turn to ice. "They are not drifting anymore," he said softly. "They have chosen their path." The commander stared at the screen in silence. Around him, the crew whispered in fear. The humans were not shadows now, they were coming, and nothing in the galaxy seemed strong enough to stop them. The galaxy had lived with fear for weeks. Silent warships drifted like ghosts across the stars, their black hulls shining with scars of forgotten battles. They never sent a message, never fired a shot, but their presence alone was enough to freeze entire empires. Every council chamber was filled with arguments, some shouting that the ships must be destroyed, others warning that even trying to attack would bring doom. But no one truly understood what the humans wanted, not yet. On the lonely Krillian outpost, Arkin had not left his console in days. His eyes burned from lack of sleep. His hands trembled, but he could not look away. The fleet of shadows had stopped moving. It was as if they were waiting for something no alien could understand. Then, without warning, the silence broke. A signal surged across the void, so strong it lit up every receiver in the system. The outpost screens flashed with strange symbols, harsh and sharp. Arkin gasped. He recognized them instantly. They were human letters. The commander, Voro, leaned forward, his voice low and tense. "What do they say?" Arkin swallowed hard, his mouth dry. "They are not speaking to us," he whispered. "They are speaking to themselves. It is a code, a language we cannot break." The room filled with fear. The humans were talking, but only to each other. And whatever they said was hidden. Across the galaxy, alien fleets began to shadow the human armada. Hundreds of ships followed them at a distance, never daring to come close. But some were less patient. In the Zaltrax sector, a patrol fleet of 20 ships blocked the humans' path, their weapons armed, their captains desperate to prove their courage. For hours, the two sides stared at each other across the stars. The aliens sent hail after hail, demanding the humans explain themselves. But no reply came. Finally, in fear and anger, one alien captain fired. A single plasma shot cut across the void and struck the lead human warship. For one breathless second, nothing happened. Then, the void exploded. The human ship moved with terrifying speed, faster than any alien sensor could track. Its weapons lit like suns, blue fire cutting through the darkness. The entire alien patrol fleet was disabled in less than a minute. Engines dead, weapons dead. Their ships floating helplessly, but not a single one destroyed, not a single life taken. The galaxy shivered. The humans had shown their power and their restraint. They could have annihilated the fleet, but instead they had chosen to leave them alive. It was not mercy, it was a message, a warning. The recordings of the battle spread faster than the speed of light. Every system replayed the same moment, the shot, the flash, the silence of defeat. Children watched wide-eyed, elders trembled, warriors clenched their fists in shame, and everywhere the same question was whispered. What do the humans want? On the outpost, Arkin stared at the screen long after the battle was over. He felt his chest tighten with awe and terror. He realized something that chilled his soul. The humans were not simply wandering, they were testing. They were measuring the galaxy, finding its strength, showing their own. The next day, the humans finally broke their silence. Across every channel, in every system, a single message rang out. The voice was deep, steady, filled with a calm that felt heavier than thunder. "We are humanity," it said, "and we remember everything." The words echoed across the galaxy like a storm. Arkin froze as he heard them. The commander whispered, his eyes wide with fear. "They remember. What do they mean?" Old secrets stirred in the archives of empires, records of the ancient war. The war no one spoke about. The war when all alien races united against one enemy. That enemy had been humanity. The galaxy had thought them destroyed, wiped away. Their worlds burned, their fleets shattered. But the truth was darker. The humans had not been destroyed. They had been waiting, watching from the dark. And now they had returned. Arkin leaned back in his chair, his heart racing. He understood now why the councils wanted silence. They feared the past. They feared the truth. But the truth had come anyway, and it had come with warships. The young officer whispered into the empty room. The myth is no longer a myth. The storm has spoken, and the galaxy will never be the same again. The galaxy had heard the words, "We are humanity and we remember everything." Those words shook empires more than any weapon. No council could silence them. And no government could hide them. Every race now knew that the myth was real, and worse, the myth had a voice. In the days that followed, alien fleets began to gather. The Zoltrax patrol's defeat was still fresh in memory. No empire wanted to face humanity alone, so they united their strength. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species formed the largest armada seen in centuries. They positioned themselves along the border of neutral space, blocking the path of the human fleet. If the humans wanted to move forward, they would have to pass through them. On the outpost, Arken watched every transmission. The galaxy held its breath as two forces faced each other across the void. On one side, the alien armada, glowing with power. On the other, the silent wall of human warships, black and cold as the void itself. For hours, neither side moved. The tension was unbearable. It was as if time itself refused to flow. Then the aliens made their move. A single dreadnought, the pride of the Krillian fleet, advanced slowly. Its weapons were charged, its voice broadcast across every channel. This is the United Council of the Galaxy. State your purpose or turn back. The message repeated again and again, but the humans gave no answer. Finally, the dreadnought stopped within firing range. Its captain, a veteran of countless wars, gave one last warning. Respond, or we will open fire. Still, the humans said nothing. Instead, one ship moved forward. It was smaller than the others, yet the way it glided through the void made even the massive dreadnought seem small. The alien crews whispered in fear, one ship against hundreds. What madness was this? The human vessel stopped directly before the dreadnought. Its hull opened, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy saw the face of a human. A figure appeared on the communication screens. It was a man, tall, his eyes sharp, his uniform harem dark as the night. He did not shout, he did not threaten. He only spoke in a calm, steady voice. "We warned you once," he said. "Do not test us again." The alien captain laughed bitterly, hiding his fear. "You dare to stand against the whole galaxy? You are only one race, you are nothing." The human's eyes narrowed. "We are not nothing," he replied. "We are the storm you buried, and storms do not die." Without another word, the human ship unleashed its power. Blue energy erupted like lightning, faster than thought. The dreadnought's shield shattered, its engines died, its weapons fell silent. In less than 10 seconds, the greatest ship of the galaxy was nothing more than drifting metal, and still, the human had not fired to kill. Not a single alien life was lost. The message was clear. Humanity could destroy them, but chose not to. Panic spread through the alien armada. Some ships tried to retreat, others froze in place, unable to move. But the humans did not attack. They returned to silence, their ships holding formation, waiting, watching. On the outpost, Arken felt his chest tighten. This was not just power, it was control. The humans were not reckless, they were precise. Every action, every strike was chosen to show dominance without waste. They were not here to beg, and they were not here to negotiate. They were here to remind the galaxy who they were. The Alien Council tried to respond. They sent diplomats, messages, even pleas for peace, but the humans ignored them. The warships simply turned, pointing their bows toward the heart of the galaxy, toward the homeworlds of the great empires. And then they began to move slowly, steadily, like a tide that could not be stopped. Arken whispered to himself, "This is no myth, no legend. This is the return of a predator." He knew the galaxy had only two choices: bow before humanity or be broken by them. The galaxy had seen the storm. They had watched as human warships disabled the greatest dreadnought without spilling a drop of blood. They had heard the voice of a man who spoke not with rage but with power. And yet, no one understood why humanity had returned. Why now, after centuries of silence, the Alien Council met in secret, far from the eyes of their people. Their voices clashed like thunder. "They are here for war," one shouted. "They want revenge." "No," said another. "If they wanted revenge, they would have already destroyed us. They want something else." But no answer came, because the truth had been buried, and only a few remembered it. In the archives of the oldest races, locked behind forbidden seals, there were records too dangerous to share. Records of the Great Purge. Long ago, the galaxy had not feared humans as a myth. They had feared them as rulers. Humanity had risen fast, faster than any other race. Their ships had crossed stars no one else dared to touch. Their weapons had ended wars that burned for centuries. But with strength came fear. The other empires, once rivals, joined hands against them. Together, they had declared humanity too dangerous to exist, and so the purge began. World after world burned. Human fleets fought with fury, but the galaxy's numbers were endless. Every empire sent ships, weapons, soldiers. The sky was filled with fire, and still the humans stood, until the Council ordered the unthinkable. They turned their weapons not only on humans, but on history itself. Libraries were erased, monuments destroyed, even the mention of the word human was banned. They would not only kill mankind, they would erase their memory. But humanity was not destroyed. They vanished into the void, carrying with them knowledge the galaxy had never seen. Centuries passed. The galaxy thought the storm was over, but the storm had only been waiting. Arken discovered fragments of this history by accident, as the outpost received stolen transmissions from spies in the inner council. He sat alone at his console, reading the forbidden files, his hands shaking. He saw the images, human fleets surrounded yet never surrendering. He read the words, "Humans are relentless, they do not break, they do not yield." He realized the greatest secret of all. The galaxy had not destroyed humanity. Humanity had allowed itself to disappear, to grow stronger, unseen. Now the pieces began to fit. The silence of their warships, the precision of their attacks, the cold calm of their leader's voice. This was not a race returning by chance. This was a race returning with purpose. Arken whispered to himself. They remember everything because they were never gone. Meanwhile, panic spread across the stars. Civilizations that once mocked the myth now trembled. On trade routes, merchants told stories of seeing warships appear without warning and vanish without trace. On colonies, children drew the mark of Earth in the dirt, whispering prayers to a people they had never known. The galaxy was changing, not through war but through fear. But fear is a seed, and seeds grow into resistance. Some empires began to plot in secret. If the humans could survive once, then they can be killed again, they said. They started building weapons in the dark, machines designed not for defense but for extinction. Yet even they knew in their hearts the chance of victory was small. For every time they looked into the void, they saw the same thing, a fleet of shadows, waiting, watching, moving closer. One night, the humans sent another message, this time not to the whole galaxy, but directly to the Council. The words were simple. You tried to erase us, but we erased your trust instead. We know your lies, we know your crimes, and we are coming to collect what was stolen. The council chamber fell into silence. No one dared to breathe. For centuries they had hidden the truth. Now the truth stood at their gates, and behind that truth came warships. Warships older and stronger than anything the galaxy had ever known. Arken sat. In the darkness of the outpost, staring at the stars, he felt the weight of history pressing down on him. The humans had not returned to ask questions. They had returned to claim what was theirs, and the galaxy had no idea how to stop them. The silence of humanity had ended. Their message to the council echoed across every world. We know your lies, we know your crimes, and we are coming to collect what was stolen. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy understood what it meant to be afraid, truly afraid. The alien empires did what they had always done in times of fear. They built fleets across thousands of systems. Shipyards blazed with fire. Factories poured out weapons. Soldiers marched under banners of unity. The greatest armada in history began to form. Billions of beings were called to war. Their leaders promised victory, but their eyes betrayed doubt because they all remembered what had happened to the Zaltrax patrol. They all remembered the dreadnought that fell in seconds. On the lonely outpost, Arken watched the galaxy prepare. But he knew the truth. No amount of weapons could stop what was coming. The humans were not just a fleet. They were a storm carried through centuries of silence. He felt it in his bones. The galaxy would break. Then it began. On the edge of the Andrix Nebula, the first clash erupted. 1,000 alien warships moved to block the human advance. They outnumbered the humans 5-1. Their commanders shouted with pride, "For the galaxy we will stand." But when the battle began, their pride turned to terror. The human warships moved like shadows, silent, coordinated, unstoppable. Their weapons did not fire like alien cannons. They cut through the void like blades of light. precise and merciless. Shields collapsed in seconds, hulls cracked like glass, entire squadrons vanished in bursts of blue fire. The aliens fought bravely, but their weapons seemed weak, their tactics slow. The humans tore through them like hunters tearing through prey. Arken received the reports in real time, his screen filled with red markers as alien ships fell one after another. He whispered to himself, "This is not war, this is slaughter." Yet the humans did not kill without purpose. When a ship was helpless, drifting in silence, they did not finish it. They left survivors to spread the story. They wanted the galaxy to watch, to fear, to remember. The battles spread across the stars. At Carvon Prime, an alien stronghold defended by 3 fleets, the humans broke through in a single night. At the Drossery Gate, a fortress thought impenetrable, human warships cracked its walls with weapons no one had ever seen. Some said they bent gravity itself, turning shields to dust. Others swore they saw ships vanish and reappear, striking from impossible angles. Every witness told the same truth. The humans fought like no other race, and no other race could stop them. In the council chambers, leaders screamed at one another. Some demanded surrender, others demanded extermination. But no one had answers. The humans were not bargaining, they were not negotiating, they were reclaiming. And every step brought them closer to the heart of the galaxy. On the outpost, Arken felt both fear and awe. The humans were not just warriors, they were something greater. They carried silence like a weapon, patience like a blade. For centuries they had waited, hidden, watching, and now their return shook the very stars. The turning point came at the Battle of Vanos Rift. It was the largest battle the galaxy had ever seen. 200,000 alien ships faced the human armada. The sky burned with fire. Worlds trembled as weapons lit the void. But the humans moved with terrifying unity. Their fleets split and reformed like water. Their attacks struck with perfect precision. Every alien strategy crumbled. By the end, half the alien armada was destroyed. He-Res fled in chaos, and still the humans pursued no further. They stopped, letting the survivors escape. It was not mercy, it was domination. The galaxy understood then, this was not a war to humans, it was justice. It was memory sharpened into steel. It was the storm reclaiming the sky it once owned. Arken stood before the star field, his voice a whisper. They are not fighting for conquest, they are fighting for something greater. But what that something was, no one yet knew. And as the humans advanced toward the core of the galaxy, the final truth waited in the shadows. The galaxy was burning, not with fire alone, but with fear. Every world whispered the same truth. The humans had returned, and nothing could stop them. The alien armadas lay broken across the stars. The council chambers shook with arguments and blame, but the humans did not wait for answers. Their warships moved with purpose, a tide of steel flowing toward the galactic core, toward the throne worlds of the empires that once tried to erase them. On the outpost, Arken watched in silence, his eyes wide as the human fleet grew larger with every passing day. From the dark edges of space, more ships arrived. Vessels older than any alien design, carrying scars of forgotten wars, yet their engines burned brighter than the newest alien technology. Arken whispered, "They were never gone. They were building this." At last the humans stopped. Their armada stretched across an entire system, surrounding a council stronghold world. Billions of eyes across the galaxy turned to that place. Every screen, every channel, every sensor, all waiting to see what the humans would do. Then the message came. A human figure appeared once more, the same man with sharp eyes and calm voice. But this time, his words were not for the council alone, they were for everyone. "For centuries you called us a myth. You said we were gone, you said we were weak, but we remember." His voice rolled like thunder. "You united against us. You burned our worlds. You erased our name. And still we survived. We endured in the shadows. We built in silence. And now we return not as a story, but as a truth you cannot erase." The galaxy listened in silence. Even the greatest rulers bowed their heads. The human continued. "We are not here to conquer. We are not here to destroy. But know this, we will never kneel again. No council, no empire, no throne will stand above us. The age of forgetting is over. The age of humanity has returned." Then the sky itself shook. From behind the armada, more fleets emerged. Dozens, hundreds, each one carrying the mark of Earth. They poured out of hidden gates, wormholes, secret passages long forgotten. The galaxy gasped. The armada that had shaken them was not the full strength of humanity. It was only the first fleet. Arken felt his blood run cold. This was only the beginning, he whispered. The galaxy had thought it faced the storm, but now they realized it had only felt the first winds. Panic spread through the empires. Some leaders begged for surrender, others called for last stands. But deep down, they all knew the truth. There was no victory against this. Humanity had not returned to fight for survival. Humanity had returned to take its place. Then something unexpected happened. The human fleets did not fire. They did not rain destruction on the council world. Instead, the human leaders spoke one final time. "We are here to remind you," he said, "that we are not a myth. We are not a shadow. We are not a story whispered in fear. We are humanity, and the stars themselves will remember our name." The armada turned as one. Their engines roared like thunder. Their trails of light stretched across the void, and they began to spread, not only toward the council, but toward every corner of the galaxy. It was not invasion, it was presence. Every world would see their warships. Every race would know their name, the storm was no longer coming. The storm had arrived. On the lonely outpost, Arken stared at the endless horizon of steel and fire. His voice shook as he whispered, "The galaxy belongs to them now, not by conquest, but by fear, by memory, by truth." He closed his eyes, realizing he had witnessed the rebirth of a legend that had become stronger than any empire. The humans had returned, and this time, they would never leave.